Good morning, students, and good morning, Rajiv sir. Yes, good morning, Komal, Ashok, students, Ajay, Pranam, Sangeeta, and all others, Neha, Kadambari, Divya Kumari. So, students, कैसा रहा आपका फेस्टिवल? कैसा रहा पहले तो ये बताएं. अच्छा रहा. सो स्टूडेंट्स, आज हम एक नया चैप्टर स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं. दैट इज चैप्टर 5, ऑडिट ऑफ आइटम्स ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स. So students, this chapter, as I have told you, is an extension of chapter 4. That is audit evidence. So this chapter is both general and specific too. So the description in this chapter applies to some part of it applies to many entities, different kind of entities, and some part of it applies only to companies. It is specific to companies. So students, when we will be doing this chapter, you probably would be finding many new things, many new names, so which you are not familiar with. But you do not need to get disheartened, because with the passage of time, as you progress in your company law classes, as you progress in your accountancy classes, you would probably gain a better understanding and better knowledge of this chapter. Okay, so for your easy guidance, students, this chapter is basically based upon 4 areas. So one area is provisions of Companies Act. Second area is specific requirements of Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. And third area is your basic accounting knowledge and accounting standard. And fourth is auditing procedures, your auditing knowledge, how you have to apply your auditing knowledge, how you have to apply audit procedures to different items appearing in financial statements. So students, इस चैप्टर में 4 चीजों की आपको जरूरत है. कंपनी लॉ की नॉलेज, कंपनीज एक्ट के डिफरेंट प्रोविजंस की नॉलेज जो कंपनीज के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में है, शेड्यूल 3 की रिक्वायरमेंट्स की नॉलेज वो भी कंपनीज के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में है, और बेसिक अकाउंटिंग नॉलेज, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स की नॉलेज जो आप अपनी अकाउंटेंसी क्लासेस में पढ़ रहे हैं, और ऑडिटिंग नॉलेज, ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स की नॉलेज. ये चैप्टर जो है इन्हीं चारों चीजों को मिला के डेवलप्ड है. सो दिस चैप्टर स्टूडेंट्स इज डेवलप्ड keeping in mind these 4 requirements. It stands on these 4 pillars. So that is why students, I have uploaded on the website Schedule 3 to the Companies Act 2013. So this Schedule 3 to the Companies Act 2013 Division 1, this you shall be reading in your accountancy classes when you will be doing module 3. So students, but keep in mind that without understanding this Schedule 3, you cannot do justice with this chapter. So it contains, what does it contain? It contains format of balance sheet of the in case of companies. Okay, so what are the different headings? Equity and liabilities, current liabilities, non-current liabilities, non-current assets, current assets, and what are the general instructions for preparation of balance sheet and statement of profit and loss. These are all there in schedule 3. So what this chapter does, it takes these requirements and puts it in front of those items which you are going to study. So from my point of view, in my opinion, students, इस चैप्टर को करने का सबसे अच्छा तरीका ये है, the most efficient way of doing this chapter would be, first of all, you read this schedule 3 of Companies Act and try to understand what does this mean, इसकी क्या क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है. ये आप सारा का सारा अकाउंटेंसी में तो स्टूडेंट्स पढ़ेंगे ही. This you would be reading in your accountancy classes when you would be coming to module 3. लेकिन अगर आप इसको अभी कर लेते हैं तो आपको ये चैप्टर अंडरस्टैंड करना बेटर होगा और आपका 40-50% काम इस चैप्टर में पहले ही हो जाएगा. अगर आपने स्टूडेंट्स ये शेड्यूल 3 इसको याद कर लिया, यू रिमेंबर कि क्या क्या इसकी शेड्यूल 3 की रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, तो ये चैप्टर करना आपके लिए बहुत आसान हो जाएगा. और लेकिन अगर आप शेड्यूल 3 को रिमेंबर नहीं करेंगे, उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स को अंडरस्टैंड नहीं करेंगे, तो इस चैप्टर को अंडरस्टैंड और रिमेंबर करना आपके लिए डिफिकल्ट होगा. इट वुड बी, आई वुड बी सेइंग, ए रादर इट डिसजॉइंटेड एफर्ट. सो इट वुड बी बेटर that you go through the requirements of schedule 3 and try to remember and learn as many things as you can relating to, say, trade receivables, relating to, say, cash, relating to property, plant and equipment, relating to inventories, relating to current liabilities. So what are the requirements which are specified in law in context of companies, which are to be disclosed in the financial statements of company. So schedule 3 division 1 deals with all these aspects. So now Rajiv sir is also there. He would also tell you few things about this chapter. So Rajiv sir, welcome sir. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, all of you students. Students, chapter 5. Chapter 5 अभी तक आपने hopefully from chapter 1 to 4 backup and reserve you would have created, backup of definitions, backup of topics you would have created, you would have established in your mind. And students, about chapter 5, whatever you have learned from chapter 1 to 4, whatever you have learned from chapter 1 to 4, specifically chapter 4, that is very important while you do this chapter. So students, the importance of this chapter is, this is of great importance for your, so far as your IPC, this intermediate course is concerned, because this is very much practically relevant. When you would be going for audit, this chapter would be of much relevance for you. Each and every item of financial statements of P&L, you would be studying how to audit the items of financial statements. So each and every item is very important. जैसा कि सर ने काफी कुछ much has already been said about this chapter. जैसे सर ने आपको समझाया कि कितने वर्टिकल्स में हम इसको पढ़ने वाले हैं, कंपनी लॉ के प्रोविजन कुछ यूज होंगे, अबाउट शेड्यूल 3 एंड अकाउंटिंग नॉलेज ऑफ अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स एंड नॉलेज ऑफ ऑडिटिंग प्रोसीजर्स. तो अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है स्टूडेंट्स. इस चैप्टर को व्हाइल यू स्टडी दिस चैप्टर, नॉलेज ऑफ अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. आप सर को एक बार बता देना कि आपके कौन से अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स अभी तक कवर हो चुके हैं, उनसे रिलेटेड जो ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स हैं वो सर पहले टेकअप कर लेंगे. तो दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. मोर ओवर स्टूडेंट्स, जो वेटेज है इस चैप्टर की वो अप्रोक्सीमेटली आप मान के चलो कि 15 to 20 मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन इस चैप्टर में से आएगी ही आएगी. 15 to 20 मार्क्स की कवरेज इस चैप्टर में से मिनिमम रहेगी और आपको अच्छी तरीके से करना चाहिए चैप्टर. और साथ साथ एक और स्टूडेंट्स मैं आपको एडवाइस करूंगा, जो सर कराएंगे आप सेम डे कर लेना. उससे क्या होगा, आपका बैकलॉग क्रिएट नहीं होगा. जैसे कि अभी मैं पीछे देख रहा था, जो लेक्चर्स में मैं आया, स्टूडेंट्स काफी उनका बैकलॉग क्रिएट हो चुका है बिकॉज ड्यू टू सम वन रीजन और द अदर रीजन. लेकिन इस चैप्टर में मैं स्टूडेंट्स आपको एडवाइस करूंगा कि साथ साथ जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स एलवीसी क्लास में आ रहे हैं तो वो साथ साथ इस चैप्टर को करते रहें, बिकॉज ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स जो क्वेश्चन है वो आपको एग्जाम में ऑडिट प्रोसीजर पर आएगा. और ऑडिट प्रोसीजर आप विदाउट द नॉलेज ऑफ, जैसे कि सर ने बताया कि अकाउंट विदाउट द नॉलेज ऑफ कंपनीज एक्ट, विदाउट द नॉलेज ऑफ अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स और शेड्यूल 3 में ही, तो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन जो मैं आपको कहता था कि हर बार इन ईच एंड एवरी लेक्चर मैंने आपको बोला कि स्टार्ट डूइंग द, एटलीस्ट यू शुड स्टार्ट डूइंग द थिंग्स. तो इसमें साथ साथ आप करोगे. शेड्यूल 3 के बारे में जैसे सर ने बताया कि आप इसकी आइटम्स को लर्न करो, इसके डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट्स को लर्न करो, तो साथ साथ आप इसको करो चैप्टर को. दैट्स माय एडवाइस टू यू. यस सर.
Yes, sir. So these were the words of wisdom from Rajiv, sir. So shall we start the chapter, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can continue, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So students, as I have told you at the beginning, that it is better that you start going through Schedule 3 of Companies Act Part 1 from today itself, and you try to finish it off in 2-3 days. So if you learn Schedule 3 Part 1, Division 1, so it would be easy for you to understand this chapter, and you would see that you are in a position to gain command over about 50 to 60% of the areas of this chapter. So it is better, students, it would be a better strategy if you remember and learn the various requirements of Schedule 3 of the Companies Act Division 1. Schedule 3 of the Companies Act Division 1, it is there in your Module 3. I have also uploaded this PDF file on the website. So students, now we straight away go to your module. Yes. So first of all, students, we shall be taking a very familiar items on the asset side of the financial statements, that is trade receivables. So we are at page 5.37 of your module. Page 5.37 of your module. Yes, guys. Is it okay, students? Page 5.37 of your module. So trade receivables. So we have chosen this item, students, first because you know something about trade receivables. You have already read about external confirmation procedures in SA 505, and you know about trade receivables. It is more familiar to you. That is why we have chosen from this item. So trade receivables. So students, how are trade receivables created? Obviously, when a company uh, or when an entity sells some goods or sells some services to somebody, to another company or to another entity, it results in creation of trade receivables, which we in common language call as debtors. So when I am selling something to somebody and the payment is not received, the payment is outstanding, then it results in creation of debtors. Okay, when I am making credit sales, it results in creation of debtors. So obviously, so students, what is the basic thing when I am selling some product or when I am selling some services, when I am rendering some service? So I would be typically raising an invoice. So I'll be typically raising an invoice. So invoice is the basic primary document. Okay. So trade receivables are an essential part of an organization's balance sheet, often referred to as debtors. So obviously, in a sales transactions, invoice is raised and issued to the customer, and with the invoice amount being recorded as a debtor balance. So it is recoverable later, say in cash or uh, by credit into bank. So what you are going to verify in respect of trade receivables? So all these items in this chapter, students, all these different items of financial statements in this chapter, we shall be largely studying in the context of companies. We shall be largely studying in the context of companies, in context of um, provisions of Companies Act 2013, and in context of specific requirements of Schedule 3, Division 1 of the Companies Act 2013. So, but in the examination, students, you have to take care to see whether the question is asked in context of a company or in context of a non-company. So if the question is about company, then obviously the requirements of Companies Act 2013 and the requirements of Schedule 3 would apply. If the question is, say, is of general type, is if it relates to other entities, to entities which are not companies, then you are not required to write the requirements of Schedule 3 or the provisions of Companies Act. So then you would write only general audit procedures. Okay. Yes. So students, whenever there are trade receivables in the financial statements of a company, of an entity, so first and foremost thing for an auditor would be uh, to understand the control system in respect of debtors. So he would first of all, carry out tests of controls for effectiveness of internal controls over sales. So he would ensure that only genuine sales are leading to creation of trade receivables. That sales booked in financial statements are genuine. These are not fake. And how he would check the system, he would perform tests of controls to see what is the system of company in this regard, and he would try to test those system. He would try to test that system by performing tests of controls. Okay. So following points he would consider: that only bona fide sales lead to trade receivables. All sales are made to approved customers. All sales are properly recorded in books of accounts. So he would see that how does company system ensure that all sales made are recorded in books of accounts. That whether there is a possibility that sales are taking place, but these are not recorded in books of accounts, leading to understatement of sales. Okay. And what is the procedure of exercising control over money to be received from the debtors? Okay. How follow up is being taken by the company's officials regarding recovery of money from the debtors? And a very important point, students, it has to be seen that there is segregation of duty in respect of sales transactions. Say like the persons who are say responsible for collecting the payments, they are not responsible for making entries in the books of accounts. So segregation of duties, division of duties is very important to prevent frauds. Okay. So segregation of duties has to be seen. It has to be verified by the auditor. So obviously he would be concerned that debtors are collected on time. So what is the procedure of the company in ensuring that payments from the trade receivables are received in time, in accordance with the policy of the company, in accordance with the credit terms? Okay. And balances are regularly reviewed. So there should be a system in the company in which all the trade receivables are reviewed from time to time. That the company sees, that the system throws up an alert that this debtor has not made a payment which was due. So a review takes place at different points of time in respect of debtors. Okay. So it also includes that to see whether there is any unrecoverable money, and what steps are being taken by the company to recover that money. Or if some matter is in litigation, it is in court, then what is the status? So all these things shall be seen by the auditor in respect of test of controls relating to trade receivables. So students, you remember chapter 4. We had learned there in chapter 4 assertions relating to account balances. We had learned assertions relating to transactions. We had learned assertions relating to account balances. And we had learned assertions relating to presentation and disclosure. So now what is a trade receivable, student? What is a trade receivable? It is an account balance. So it is in nature of account balance. So which are the assertions which apply to account balance? Yes, guys, can you recall which are the assertions which apply to account balances? Can you recall those four assertions? Yes, students, the assertions which we had read in chapter 4 relating to account balances. Yes, students, are you able to recall any assertion? Four assertions we had read about account balances. So these assertions are, students, existence, completeness, valuation, existence, completeness, valuation, and rights and obligations. Yes. Existence, completeness, rights and obligations, and valuation. Valuation and allocation. So four assertions, students, you remember: existence, completeness, rights and obligations, and valuation and allocation. These four things, these four assertions, we had read about in respect of account balances in chapter 4. Now, since trade receivables are also account balances, so we shall be reading about these assertions. We shall be reading how an auditor verifies these assertions relating to trade balances, trade receivables. So first assertion is existence. So what does existence mean, students? Existence means that trade receivable balances in fact exist. These are not fake. These are bona fide balances. These are genuine balances. Clear, students? So first assertion the auditor would check, that is in respect of existence, that these balances, these trade receivables which are outstanding as on 31st March, as at the end of year, in fact exist, that these are not fake, that these are genuine. So this is existence assertion. So second assertion is completeness. So completeness relates to the fact that uh, all transactions which are arising on account of these trade receivables, these have been recorded, that trade receivables are complete, that nothing has been left out. Okay. And rights and obligations, it flows out from the first assertion. So if some trade balance exists, if trade receivable exists, if it is genuine, then it means that the company, that the entity has a right, that the company has a right to recover the money from that trade receivable. And fourth is valuation and allocation. So valuation means that this trade receivable which is appearing in the financial statements of a company is properly valued. That if some allowance for bad debt is required to be made, if some provision is required to be made, it is made. So this is meant by valuation. Okay. So yes, students, clear? So students, in verifying various assertions, you can apply your common sense also, and you can write whatever you feel logical in the context of question. So there are many things written here. Some of these you will remember, some of these you may not remember in the exams, but if you write any relevant logical point, you will be given credit. Okay. So to establish the existence of trade receivables at the period end, what audit procedures the auditor would perform? He would check whether there are controls in place to ensure that invoices cannot be recorded more than once. कि जो एक बार इनवॉइस बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में एंटर हो गया वो दोबारा एंटर नहीं हो सकता. ओके. Ask for a period end accounts receivable aging report and trace the balance as per report to the general ledger. Yes, Deep Shrey, you are saying that it is your first lecture. So Deep Shrey, you would not be able to understand much. So it is better if you see the recorded versions of all the lectures from chapter 1 to 4 and then see to this this lecture, because you won't be able to understand much if you are attending the auditing lecture for the first time. Okay, check whether realization is recorded invoice wise or not. So students, when a debtor is created, when the payments are coming, so the auditor would see whether the payments are coming invoice wise in relation to each invoice, or whether these are coming on account. Okay. And if any large balance is due for a long time, the auditor should ask for the reasons and justification for the same. So this is also necessary to verify existence assertion. So students, say कोई एक डेटर बैलेंस है जो कि सब्सटेंशियल अमाउंट का है और वो काफी देर से आउटस्टैंड कर रहा है, से उसको 2-3 साल हो चुके हैं. सो ऑडिटर शुड आस्क द रीजंस एंड जस्टिफिकेशन कि आप इसको क्यों कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं, आप पैसा आना है या नहीं आना उस क्लाइंट से, उस पार्टी से, वेदर मनी इज रिकवरेबल और नॉट, या आपने कुछ इसका कोर्ट केस किया हुआ है, कोई ये मैटर लिटिगेशन में है, ये आपका डिस्प्यूट है, या आपने इसके अगेंस्ट कोई सिक्योरिटी ले रखी थी. सो कई टाइप की इसमें इश्यूज एराइज हो सकते हैं. और अगर उसको ऑडिटर को इस बात का एविडेंस मिलता है कि ये पैसा रिकवरेबल नहीं है, सो ऑब्वियसली he would insist, he would require the company to make suitable adjustments, to make provision for bad and doubtful debt, or if the money is not recoverable, then write off the amount. Okay. So these are some of the procedures which auditors would perform relating to assertion, relating to existence assertion. And one most important procedure relating to existence assertion is direct confirmation procedures, which you have already read in Essay 505. सो डायरेक्ट कंफर्मेशन प्रोसीजर आपको जैसे स्टूडेंट्स एसए 505 में हम पढ़ चुके हैं कि these requests are sent directly by the auditor to the confirming parties. Okay, तो वो सारे procedures which we have read in essay 505, these are applicable practically. Okay. So the auditor would be sending confirmation requests to the customers from whom the money is recoverable. So ये कौन सी assertion students verify करने में help करता है? So when auditor sends an external confirmation request, which kind of assertion the auditor is testing? Which kind of assertion the auditor is testing? Yes, students. Any answers? When auditor sends a confirmation request to a debtor, to a trade receivable, and say response is also received from the confirming party, then which type of assertion the auditor is trying to test? Yes. Manish Kumar and Shyam Goel, both of you are correct. He is testing existence assertion. He is testing existence assertion. So first of all, he would be gaining comfort that debtor exists. Say I sent a confirmation request to Mr. X, who is a debtor of the company, and I get a response. So first comfort that I would be getting is that Mr. X exists, that this debtor is genuine, it is not fake. Okay. And you are also writing about accuracy. Yes, Zahida, if the accuracy, first of all, you have to remember that accuracy assertion as a term is not used in context of account balances. So these are finer distinctions which you have to make in your mind. Accuracy is used in the context of transactions. Here we are talking about account balances. So 4 assertions were there in respect of account balances. One is existence, second was completeness, third was rights and obligations, and fourth is valuation. So when I am sending a confirmation request to a trade debtor, then obviously if my response is confirmed, then I am satisfied about the existence of the debtor. And if I do not get any response, even then I am testing existence assertion. So I would be getting evidence that party has not given any response. But what I am testing? I am testing existence assertion. Okay. So in respect of account balances, the assertion, these four assertions are tested. Zaida, accuracy is an assertion in respect of class of transactions. Clear to you? And Hardik, Samar Bhai Gareja, you are saying existence and valuation. So students, if I am sending a confirmation request to Mr. X, say whose balance was rupees 5 lakhs, and Mr. X also confirms to me that this balance is correct, 5 lakhs. So existence is confirmed. Now, whether valuation is confirmed or not, tell me. Whether valuation is confirmed. अगर स्टूडेंट्स ये बैलेंस सपोज 3 साल से ज्यादा से आउटस्टैंड कर रहा है, मिस्टर एक्स ने कंफर्म तो कर दिया कि उसका बैलेंस 5 लाख रुपए है, लेकिन जिस कंपनी का मैं ऑडिटर हूं उसके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में क्या इसका अलाउंस बैड एंड डाउटफुल डेट का होना चाहिए या नहीं, ये तो कंपनी को देखना है ना, जिसका की ऑडिट हो रहा है, जिसकी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में ऑडिट कर रहा हूं. तो इससे क्या वैल्यूएशन एसर्शन तो नहीं मिलता, वैल्यूएशन एसर्शन के बारे में तो एविडेंस नहीं मिलता. वैल्यूएशन एसर्शन के बारे में तो एविडेंस नहीं मिलता. ये तो यही शो करता है कि इतना बैलेंस एग्जिस्ट कर रहा था. वैल्यूएशन तो कंपनी को करनी है जिसको ऑडिट हो रहा है, कि जो अमाउंट उसकी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में डिस्क्लोज्ड है वो प्रॉपरली वैल्यूड होना चाहिए. ओके, यस, इज हार्दिक, यस, हार्दिक इज सेइंग इट इज क्लियर टू हिम. So when we send students direct confirmations, we get evidence about existence of a trade receivable. And when existence is confirmed, obviously in an indirect manner, right is also confirmed. Okay, so obviously when somebody is saying that, look, I have to pay rupees 5 lakh to your company, then company's right is also confirmed that it has a right to recover money from that party. Yes, clear guys? So direct confirmation procedures are very important in context of trade receivables. So these have to be performed in accordance with the requirements of SA 505. So the trade receivables may be requested to confirm the balances either as at the date of the balance sheet or at any other selected date which is reasonably close to the date of balance sheet. But practically, these would be confirmed as at the date of the balance sheet. So this important point, students, this we had also read in SA 505, that form of requesting confirmation from trade receivables may be either the form with the balance outstanding amount as per the company, where the trade receivable is requested to respond whether or not he is in agreement with the balance shown, or without any balance mentioned therein, where trade receivable is requested to respond with the balance outstanding in his records. So students, we had read in SA 505 that when a external confirmation request is sent, then it may be designed in such a way that either it asks the confirming party to confirm the to agree or disagree with the balance stated therein, or it leaves the information blank, or it asks the confirming party to fill the information from his records and to state what the balance is as per your records. So obviously, the second method is more preferable, because in that case the confirming party would definitely look from his records and then only fill the balance. If you write the balance yourself and ask the party to agree to this or to disagree with this, there are still chances that the confirming party may not verify it from its records and just simply sign it and send back to you. So it is a case of possibility. Okay. So the method of selection of trade receivables to be circularized should not be revealed to the company until the trial balance of trade receivable ledger is handed over to the auditor. कौन के ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स को कंफर्मेशन रिक्वेस्ट भेजनी है, क्या उसका मेथड है, ये सारी चीजें कंपनी को रिवील नहीं करनी चाहिए पहले. ओके. So obviously to keep some surprise element there, the auditor should maintain strict control to ensure that the correctness and proper dispatch of request letters. It should be ensured that confirmations as well as any undelivered letters are returned to the auditor and not to the client. So under SA 505 students, we had also learned that confirmation requests are sent directly by the auditor to the confirming party. So it is necessary that the confirmation requests are sent by the auditor at proper addresses. Okay. So because if the confirmation request is not sent at the proper address, it may increase the work of the auditor, and some of the letters may be undelivered, and it would again lead to duplicacy of work. So any discrepancies revealed by the confirmations received may have a bearing on other accounts not included in the original sample. So अगर कुछ confirmation request ऑडिटर ने भेजी है और कोई रिस्पॉन्स जो ट्रेड रिसीवेबल से आए हैं, डेटर से, उनके बीच में कुछ डिफरेंस है, सो ऑडिटर वुड ऑब्वियसली ट्राई टू डिग आउट व्हाट इज द रीजन. उसके सैंपल में सपोज 1000 ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स हैं और उसने 20 का सैंपल्स ले रखा है, तो उस 20 के सैंपल में मान लीजिए 5 में उसको डिफरेंस मिलता है. सो ऑब्वियसली he may try to extrapolate these things कि इसमें डिफरेंस है तो इसका मतलब और जो बैलेंसेस हैं उसमें भी डिफरेंसेस हो सकता है. सो he would try to increase his sample size and reconcile the discrepancies. And when no reply is received, students, in case of no response, this also we had read about it in SA 505, that auditor should perform alternate audit procedures regarding the balances. So alternate audit procedures क्या हो सकते हैं students? अगर किसी पार्टी का मेरे को कोई रिस्पॉन्स ही नहीं आया, सो एक तो क्वेश्चन मेरे दिमाग में आएगा कि क्या ये बैलेंस फेक है, रिस्पॉन्स ही नहीं आया, या लेटर अनडिलीवर्ड हो गई। लेकिन सपोज किसी जेन्युइन वजह से भी रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आ सकता, पार्टी ने पार्टी डिडंट केयर टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू द ऑडिटर, और पार्टी में हैव शिफ्टेड द एड्रेस, इट मे हैव शिफ्टेड इट्स प्रेमिसेस, उसका प्लेस ऑफ बिजनेस चेंज हो गया हो, और मैंने कंफर्मेशन जो है उस एड्रेस पे नहीं भेजी। सो ऑल्टरनेट ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स क्या है मेरे पास देखने के लिए, कि मैं देखूंगा कि अगले साल क्या उसकी पेमेंट आ गई है। अगर अगले साल उससे पेमेंट आ रही है तो इट मींस दैट ट्रांजैक्शंस आर हैपनिंग, दैट द पार्टी हैज पेड द मनी इन द सब्सिक्वेंट पीरियड। ओके, and if there are any related party receivables, then review them for their collectability. So students, जो भी whatever we had learned in chapter 4, as I have been telling you, these things you can write in chapter 5 as its extension. Like आप इसकी ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स की स्टूडेंट्स आपकी बात हो रही है, तो ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स में ये भी एक पॉइंट हो सकता है आपके पास चेक करने के लिए कि क्या वो ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजैक्शंस से रिलेट करते हैं, क्या वेदर दीज हैव बीन क्रिएटेड ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ सेल्स मेड टू रिलेटेड पार्टीज। सो अगर वो रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजैक्शंस हैं, वो अकाउंट बैलेंस उससे बना है, देन ऑब्वियसली you would see whether the transaction has been carried out at proper value, at arm's length, and whether the money has been collected. So अगर रिलेटेड पार्टी के साथ सेल की ट्रांजैक्शन उसी टर्म्स पे हो रही है जो कि किसी थर्ड पार्टी के साथ है, then it is perfectly fine, then it is okay, and the money is also coming. But it may so happen that sales transaction with related party has been made just to inflate the sales, and the money has not come. So obviously these things will be a pointer to the fact that related party transactions, that trade receivables generated out of related party transactions may not be genuine. Okay. Check that receivables for other than sales or services are not included in the list. So students, sometimes it so happens then that in the schedule of trade receivables, some items are included which are not generated, which are not created out of sales transactions. So like आपने किसी को एडवांस दे रखा है किसी अपने सप्लायर को, दैट द कंपनी हैज गिवन एडवांस टू ए सप्लायर फॉर ₹5 lakh. नाउ ऑब्वियसली इट वुड गो इन एडवांसेस, but this balance may be erroneously shown under the schedule of trade receivables. So the auditor would take care to verify, he would take care to check that only receivables which have been created genuinely on account of sale of goods or on account of sales of services, these are only included in overall trade receivable balances, that only such items are appearing in a schedule of trade receivables which have been generated, which have been created out of out of sales of goods, out of sales of products, or out of sale of services to those parties, to those persons. Okay. And another type of procedure could be review a trend of sales and accounts receivables and to see if there are unusual trends. So month वाइज सेल को और अकाउंट्स रिसीवेबल्स को मैं उसमें उनका ट्रेंड वेरीफाई करूंगा कि जिस महीने सेल्स बढ़ी है तो ऑब्वियसली ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स भी उस मंथ बढ़ने चाहिए. सो अगर कोई अनयूजुअल ट्रेंड है तो उसको भी इन्वेस्टिगेट करूंगा. सो दीज प्रोसीजर्स आर इन नेचर ऑफ एनालिटिकल प्रोसीजर्स. So I would also perform ratio analysis, like I would check debtor turnover ratio. Of this year and previous year. So we had discussed about debtor turnover ratio last time also. So debtors upon sales into, say, if you want to calculate in number of days, into 365. If you want to calculate in number of months, then debtors upon sales into 12. Okay, so this gives you an idea of average collection period. Okay, so this gives you an idea of average collection period in how many days, in how many months the company's debtors are being collected on an average basis. So is it clear to you guys? So when you compare ratio of one period to another period, you can find out the reasons for variation if there is any, and you have to be satisfied about these reasons, about these differences, whether these differences are genuine. से अगर आप डेटर्स टर्नओवर रेशियो पिछले 2-3 साल का कंपेयर करते हैं और जिस ईयर का आप ऑडिट कर रहे हैं उसमें डेटर टर्नओवर रेशियो डिटीरियोरेट कर गया है, इट हैज डिटीरियोरेटेड, सो इट मींस दैट that debtors are not being collected on time. It shows that collection period for debtors has increased. So it may point out to old and to old debts for which provision for doubtful debts may have to be made, or some old balances which may need to be written off. So it can be a pointer to those things. So completeness. Another assertion is students' completeness. So completeness का क्या मतलब है? Completeness means that all balances, all trade receivable balances that were supposed to be recorded have been recognized in the financial statements. So basically it means that nothing is left out. So it means that trade receivables which needed to be recorded in financial statements have been recorded. So how the auditor is going to verify this? Now, some of such procedures could be for the invoices issued during the last few days of the reporting year of the accounting period. which have been included in debtors check, that goods should have been dispatched and not lying with the company. So students, that is very important, that for those goods for which invoices have been raised, obviously when invoice has been raised, then the company would be booking this item as a sales. So therefore it is necessary that for those transactions for which invoices have been raised, these goods should have also been dispatched. These are not lying as a stock with the company as on the reporting date. So that is very important. Okay. So again, similar thing, that ensure that all goods dispatched prior to the year end have been invoiced. So it may so happen that some goods have been dispatched as on, say, on 30th March, but invoice has not been raised. Invoice is being raised on, say, has been raised on 1st April. It may so happen. So the auditor has to be careful about those things, that for all the invoices raised, goods should have been dispatched. Because when you book something as sales, then obviously it would be reduced from your stocks. It should not lie with the company as a stock. Okay. So test invoices listed in receivable report. So obviously you would be testing some of the invoices. Test check, you would be test checking some of the invoices which are forming part of the balance of receivables, and you would try to trace it to the aging schedule also, कि कितनी देर से वो बैलेंस आउटस्टैंड कर रहा है. Match invoices to shipping dispatch log. So what is shipping dispatch log, students? It is simply dispatch records. So जो आइटम डिस्पैच हो चुकी है उसका इनवॉइस भी बन जाना चाहिए. इट सिंपली मीन्स दिस कि कुछ ऐसा तो नहीं है कि कुछ आइटम डिस्पैच हो गई है, कंपनी के स्टॉक से निकल गई, कंपनी के गोडाउन से निकल गई, लेकिन उसका इनवॉइस नहीं बना. So this is necessary to verify completeness assertion, that actually sale has taken place, that goods have moved out of the company's premises, but invoice has not been raised. See, if invoice has not been raised, then these trade receivables would not be complete. So again, what was the meaning of completeness? The meaning of completeness was that all the balances which should be included have been included. So if the goods have been dispatched but the invoice has not been received, then obviously my completeness assertion would be hit. Then completeness assertion would be hit, that what the company is saying, that all the trade receivables, all the debtors balances are complete, then it would not be justified. Okay. So same thing, assess bill and hold sales. So again, this is related to this point, students, that if some transactions have been billed, but these have not been dispatched. Reverse case, if some transactions have been billed, but these have not been dispatched. So if such is the case, then auditor has to see that. Reviewing the receiving log to see if the company has recorded an inordinately large amount of customer returns after the audit period, which would suggest that the company may have shipped more goods near the end of the audit period. And what the customers had authorized to inflate the profits of the company. So ये students, ये point मैंने जो आपको केस स्टडी करवाई थी कार्तिक वाली लास्ट क्लास में, उसमें भी ये पॉइंट डिस्कस किया था कि सेल रिटर्न्स का कि what unhealthy practices some entities may adopt is that they may book more sales near the end. So the purpose may be to inflate the sales figure and to inflate the profit figure also. So they may book they may inflate the sales, and after closure of year, say in the first week of April or in first fortnight of April, sales returns are booked. So in one period, sales look to be higher, okay, but these are offset by sales return, okay. सो रिव्यू क्रेडिट मेमोज, ये भी उसी के साथ कनेक्टेड है. रिव्यू क्रेडिट मेमोज मींस क्रेडिट नोट्स. So credit notes means say आपने किसी कस्टमर को इनवॉइस रेज कर दिया, okay, so obviously what accounting entry you are going to make, you are debiting the customer and you are crediting the sales. That is how a trade receivable balance would be created in the books of account. So now say if you want to give some later on after 15 days there is some change in rate, or you want to give some sort of benefit to the customer, or there is say some dispute relating to some item, then obviously you would be issuing a credit note. So the auditor would also be sample checking credit notes, whether these are properly authorized and whether these are issued in the correct period. So all these things the auditor would be verifying in respect of completeness assertion. Yes, trade receivable balances have been valued appropriately. Yes, Parth Rana will be taking all the queries after the end, after completion of this subtopic of trade receivables. So valuation के बारे में स्टूडेंट्स क्या है कि इसमें ऑडिटर को यही देखना है मेनली कि जो डेटर्स हैं उसमें वो रिकवरेबल है और उसमें बैड एंड डाउटफुल डेट्स का प्रॉपर प्रोविजन किया गया है. तो उसके लिए व्हाट द ऑडिटर वुड बी वेरीफाइंग, ही वुड ऑब्वियसली बी गोइंग थ्रू द एजिंग रिपोर्ट, he would be obtaining list of debtors which are under litigation, and compare it with the last year. And if the balance of a debtor is outstanding since 2-3 past periods, then he would see that why it should not be classified as doubtful if it has not been already done so. Okay. So all these things, students. So now we come to the disclosure requirement of trade receivables as per Companies Act. Disclosure requirements of trade receivables in accordance with company law provisions and Schedule 3. तो स्टूडेंट्स आपका अकाउंट्स में AS11 हो चुका है क्या? अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 11 हो चुका है? टेल मी स्टूडेंट्स whether accounting standard 11, whether you have done this AS11. Yes. Okay. Anmol is saying no. So students, when AS11 relates to foreign exchange effects, say when say an entity is entering into a transaction in foreign currency, say assume that a company is exporting some goods to US, then obviously it would be raising an invoice to the US based buyer in foreign currency. Okay, it would be in dollars. And the company would also be receiving the payment in dollars in foreign currency. Okay. So whenever you export some goods, you realize foreign currency. So when a transaction of sales is made on a certain date, then obviously the exchange rate, the rate of Indian rupee with respect to US dollar, it would be say something different. It would be say 82 rupees. And when the payment comes, the rate would be the rate may be different. It may be say 82.50 or it may be say 81. So these type of transactions, the effect of these type of transactions is dealt with in AS11. So suppose the company has made sales of say 1,000 US dollar to a buyer in say February 2023, in February 23, but the payment is still outstanding as on 31st March 23. So the balance which is outstanding in my books, in the company books, these would be obviously booked at the sale amount, at that sale amount which has been arrived at by using the rate when the company raised the invoice. So the sales in Indian rupees would be reflected in the books of company at that amount, considering that exchange rate which was prevalent at that time on that date when invoice was raised. Say, but the payment has still not come as on 31st March 2023. So the amount is outstanding. So AS 11 requires that this amount needs to be restated at the exchange rate prevailing as on 31st March. So an adjustment entry would be passed in books of accounts for giving effect to such fluctuation. Okay, so these all detailed requirements you would be reading about in ES 11. So this is the meaning of that check, that restatement of foreign currency trade receivable has been done properly in accordance with AS 11. Second is proper disclosure of related party transactions regarding receivables as per AS 18 or Ind AS 24. So AS 18 relates to related party transactions, disclosure of related party transactions. So अगर आपकी सेल्स ट्रांजैक्शंस कुछ रिलेटेड पार्टीज के साथ हैं, so obviously you would have to keep in mind the disclosure requirements of AS 18, or if Ind AS are applicable, then requirements of Ind AS 4. Ensure that transaction with parties covered under section 189 of the Companies Act are reported properly in Companies Auditor Report Order 2020. Now students, this order, Companies Auditor Report Order, which we commonly call as CARO, this we commonly call as CARO, C-A-R-O. So this is separately covered in your chapter on audit report in module 2. So whenever you find references to CARO in this chapter, do not get confused. We will be covering this topic in quite detail when we will come to chapter on audit report in module 2. Okay. So this is a disclosure requirement that when an auditor issues a report under CARO, then he has to report on the point that whether transactions with the parties, with some related parties which are there in section 189 of the Companies Act 2013, whether these have been properly reported. Okay. Now, students, aging is very important. Now, Schedule 3, Division 1, it has made mandatory for every company to give aging of trade receivables in the financial statements. So जैसा कि स्टूडेंट्स मैंने आपको बताया था स्टार्टिंग में, इस लेक्चर के स्टार्टिंग में, कि आपको यू हैव टू लर्न एंड रिमेंबर शेड्यूल 3 डिवीजन 1 बाय हार्ट. इसके स्टूडेंट्स आपको मल्टीपल एडवांटेजेस होंगे. एक तो आपका अकाउंट्स का चैप्टर तैयार हो गया, दूसरा ऑडिट में तो हर एक जगह शेड्यूल 3 से आपकी हेल्प होने वाली है. जहां भी आपको कुछ याद नहीं आ रहा तो वहां शेड्यूल 3 की रेफरेंस देके तो आप लिख ही सकते हैं, अगर आपको शेड्यूल 3 का पॉइंट याद है तो. और वो क्योंकि एक लीगल रिक्वायरमेंट है, इट इज ए स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट, तो आपको क्रेडिट भी मिलने वाला है. तो इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूं स्टूडेंट्स की शेड्यूल 3 डिवीजन 1, जो कि आपको आपके उस वेबसाइट पे मैंने उसको अपलोड किया है और आपके अकाउंटेंसी के सिलेबस में भी मॉड्यूल 3 में है, उसको आपको पूरा रिमेंबर करना है कि इसमें डिफरेंट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट आइटम्स की क्या क्या क्लासिफिकेशन, डिस्क्लोजर, प्रेजेंटेशन रिक्वायरमेंट्स क्या क्या है. ओके. सो शेड्यूल 3 जो है स्टूडेंट्स, उसमें एजिंग ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स की मैंडेटरी है कंपनी को डिस्क्लोज करना. इट इज मैंडेटरी फॉर कंपनीज टू डिस्क्लोज एजिंग ऑफ ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स इन दिस मैनर, in the following manner. Now, what does this show? This shows that trade receivables have to be broken down into these categories: less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years, and total. And further, these have to be broken down into undisputed trade receivables considered good, undisputed trade receivables considered doubtful. So it means that trade receivables have to be broken into trade receivables which are undisputed, for which there is no dispute before any say court of law, and disputed trade receivables. And under undisputed trade receivables, you have to categorize them as good and doubtful. And in disputed trade receivables, you have to also categorize it doubtful. So undisputed trade receivables are those trade receivables for which no dispute exists. Okay, and these are good for recovery. Considered good means these are good for recovery. There is no evidence, there is no reason that money will not be paid by the trade receivable. There is no reason to suggest that money will not be paid by that debtor. Okay. And undisputed trade receivables considered doubtful. Although a trade receivable is undisputed, there is no dispute as such, but still it is considered doubtful that the party is not making the payment. Okay. And third is disputed trade receivables considered good. That trade receivables are disputed, that some dispute is going on, but the party is not going back on its commitment to pay. Okay. So disputed trade receivables considered good, disputed trade receivables considered doubtful. So this way. So students, aging of trade receivables has to be performed in terms of payments pending due for payments, in terms of outstanding from the due date of payment within this period, showing breakup of this period. That is, again I am repeating it, less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years. So five timelines, 5 time requirements are there. Okay, less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and more than 3. And and further, trade receivables have to be classified as undisputed trade receivables and disputed trade receivables. Undisputed trade receivables have to be further classified into good and doubtful. Similarly, disputed trade receivables have also to be classified into good and doubtful. And trade receivables shall also be classified as secured considered good, unsecured considered good and doubtful. इसके अलावा भी इसकी क्लासिफिकेशन देनी है कि जो टोटल ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स हैं, से कंपनी के टोटल ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स 1 करोड़ है, ओके, सो देन इट हैज टू बी क्लासिफाइड सिक्योरिटी वाइज ऑल्सो, कि किसी की सिक्योरिटी भी है कंपनी के पास या सब नॉर्मल बिजनेस रिस्क पे हैं, ओके, सो सिक्योर्ड से उसमें से 80 lakhs जो है वो सिक्योर्ड कंसिडर गुड है, सो ऑब्वियसली यू वुड राइट 80 lakhs दीज आर सिक्योर्ड बट कंसिडर्ड गुड्स, ओके, और अनसिक्योर्ड है कोई, सो यू वुड राइट अनसिक्योर्ड कंसिडर्ड गुड, और डाउटफुल है तो डाउटफुल लिखना है. सो नॉर्मली the trade receivables are usually unsecured, but these can be secured also. Say some trade receivable is secured by some sort of guarantee or some sort of bank guarantee, so that would be secured, or a letter of credit is there. And allowance for bad and doubtful debts shall be disclosed under the relevant head separately. So this is also important कि कोई बैड एंड डाउटफुल डेट है तो वो भी अलग से इन तीनों हेड में डिस्क्लोज करना है. So debts due by directors or other officers of the company, कि किसी कंपनी, जिस कंपनी का ऑडिट आप ऑडिट कर रहे हैं तो उसमें किसी कंपनी के ऑफिसर से पैसा लेना है, आइदर सेवरली और ज्वाइंटली. सेवरली मींस इंडिविजुअली, ओके, आइदर इंडिविजुअली और ज्वाइंटली विद एनी अदर पर्सन, या किसी और कंपनी में जो आपकी कंपनी का डायरेक्टर है वो डायरेक्टर है तो उसमें उसमें कोई डेट है. तो ये सारी रिक्वायरमेंट स्टूडेंट्स आपको याद करनी है शेड्यूल 3 के हिसाब से. सो ऑल दीज 3 रिक्वायरमेंट्स यू हैव टू रिमेंबर in accordance with what is contained in schedule 3 of the companies act. So लाइक हम शेड्यूल 3 देखते हैं कंपनीज एक्ट का स्टूडेंट्स, तो इसमें भी ये रिक्वायरमेंट है. Undisputed, disputed, so all these things are there. सो स्टूडेंट्स इसीलिए मैं आपको कह रहा हूं कि ये आपको शेड्यूल 3 की जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, दिस these have to be remembered by you by heart. उसके बिना आप इस चैप्टर से जस्टिस नहीं कर सकते. और अगर आप एंड इफ यू डू नॉट रिमेंबर शेड्यूल 3 एंड ट्राई डायरेक्टली टू रिमेंबर द थिंग्स फ्रॉम दिस चैप्टर, देन इट इज गोइंग टू बी क्वाइट डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू, क्योंकि आपके माइंड में वो लीनियर पैटर्न नहीं बनेगा जो कि जरूरी है. ओके, so students, we shall be taking a short break for 10 minutes and we'll come after 10 minutes. Short break for 10 minutes. Yes. Welcome back, students. So, students, पहले आपकी query ले लेते हैं. Shrinidhi. Shrinidhi is asking, will there be any direct questions in this chapter? Yes, why not, Shrinidhi? Many direct questions can come in this chapter. Like you may be asked to state regarding any 4 disclosure requirements relating to trade receivables under Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. So it is a sort of direct question. And case study based MCQs can always be asked from this question, क्योंकि अच्छी केस स्टडी बन सकती है इस चैप्टर के बेस पे. Yes, Santosh Dash, you are saying what to do, we have black money. Yes, Santosh. So the regulatory agencies will be after you. So the regulatory agencies will be after you if you are having black money. So Himanshu, you are saying bona fide sale means genuine, Himanshu. Bona fide means genuine and not fake. Sales which is genuine and not fake. Yes, Sangeeta, you are asking what does aging report mean? Aging report means a report generated by the company's system, a report generated by the company's information system, which divides trade receivables age wise, like say less than 1 year, between 1 to 2 years, between 2 to 3 years. This is a sort of aging, that how old a trade receivable balance is. So this sort of report, aging report, shows how old a particular trade receivable balance is. So it helps the auditor in deciding about the provision for doubtful debts, to see whether a particular account balance, whether a particular trade receivable balance needs to be written off, or whether some sort of provision is required to be made in respect of this particular trade receivable balance, because it is quite old, and it is standing for too long. Yes. Yes, Ruturaj, you are correct. You are saying a debt is barred by Limitations Act after a period of 3 years. So the auditor should see if the companies had followed up with any procedures prior to end of 3 years to recover the debt. Good, Rituraj. You are having good knowledge. Yeah, Martin, you are asking how to identify fake invoices, sir. Martin, first of all, you have to understand that auditor is not an expert in detecting fake documents. He is not an authentication expert. He obtains only persuasive evidence while conducting his audit. He obtains convincing evidence while conducting his audit. So, like in respect of trade receivables, I am seeing the sales invoices of the company. I am tracing sales invoices. I have also called from direct confirmations by sending confirmation requests, and I have also traced the subsequent collections from that trade receivable. I have also verified GST returns. I have also reviewed GST returns of the company. So all these things provide me comfort. All these things provide me persuasive evidence to conclude that the evidence is sufficient, appropriate to express my opinion on the financial statements. The auditor doesn't give a conclusive evidence. He has no authority to say, he has no expertise to detect such fake invoices. But by experience, by his knowledge, by his audit procedures, he may come across such things. Okay. Yes, Jalaj Bihani, occurrence is an assertion, but this term occurrence is used normally in respect of transactions. Say when a sales transaction happens, when a sales transaction takes place, we say it has occurred. So when sales transaction, obviously a sales transaction has resulted into creation of a debtor. So when we talk about a debtor, when we talk about a trade receivable, we say that whether trade receivable exists or not. So these are the two different ways of saying the same thing. These are two facets, two aspects of the same coin. Yes, Jalaj. Jalaj, is it clear to you? Yes, tell me, Jalaj. Yes, Parth Rana, you are saying we should check the debit note they have from the company. So in what context, Parth, you are saying? Yes, Prabir Datta, what about the valuation, sir? So in respect of valuation, as far as Schedule 3, Division 1 requirements are concerned, Parth, you are concerned only with with this aspect to see that whether any doubtful provision for doubtful debts is required to be made, whether any bad debt is required to be written off. Yes, Shyam Goel, you are correct. If confidentiality is not maintained, company may tell debtors. Yes, you are correct. Yes, completeness assertions. Yes, you can see the GST return. Yes. Anmol Patwa, you are asking this table should be learned. No, Anmol, if you are saying about this table, then obviously these contain all the general things. So you have to keep in mind main say 5-7 procedures in respect of trade receivables which you can use, and you have to specifically learn the requirements of Schedule 3 of the Companies Act regarding disclosure of trade receivables. Okay. Yes, Srinivasan, you are saying if possible, company related provisions are also included in 4 assertions. Now, what are relevant company law provisions? These are there in your module, Srinivasan. Other things are not very much relevant. Yes, Anmol Patwa, bill and hold means invoice raised but not dispatched. Yes, you are correct. Yes, Parth Rana, आप पूछ रहे हैं you did not get that receiving log topic. log, where it was used log. Yes, reviewing the receiving log. To see receiving log means a sort of register, you can say, to see if the company has recorded an inordinately large number of customer returns after the audit period, which would suggest that the company may have shipped more goods near the end of audit period than what the customer had authorized. So कंपनी ने पार्थ ये पॉइंट ये कहना चाह रहा है कि कंपनी ने फिक्टिशियस सेल कर दी ईयर एंड में, ओके, और बाद में जो है वो सेल रिटर्न हो गया in detail. Rights assertion, Srinivasan, these are flowing from existence assertion. There is nothing much which can be explained here in respect of trade receivables, because you have to understand only this much, that when a trade receivable exists, that then a company has a right to recover that money from the trade receivable. Obviously, there are no specific procedures in this regard. Yes, Srinivasan, again, when receivables are considered as NPA. So NPA is a term, Srinivasan, which is used in respect of banks when the customers of the bank fail to pay the money to the bank in accordance with the RBI norms, then these loan accounts are called as non-performing assets. Okay, so this term you shall be studying about these things and this term in your chapter on audit of banks. Yes, Anmol, allowance for bad and doubtful debts means provision. Yes, same thing. Swati, you are saying explain negative confirmation request once again. Negative confirmation requests, Swati, these are those requests which are sent directly by the auditor, in which the auditor requests the confirming party to respond only when he disagrees with the information called for, with the information requested for. Whereas in case of positive confirmation request, he asks the party to respond whether he agrees or disagrees with the information requested. Okay. So in case of negative confirmation request, the confirming party has to respond only if he disagrees. And Manish Kumar, how to check whether it is actually disputed or not? So this can be checked from the records of the company, Manish Kumar, whether there is any correspondence with that trade debtor. You can refer to the to the minutes of the meetings where some important decisions may have been taken. Rahul, you are asking, do we have to remember all these steps in sequence? No, Rahul, it is not necessary. It is not necessary. The point is that you have to remember important areas of uh, of verification of trade receivables, and as far as disclosure requirements of company of the schedule 3 are concerned, you have to remember this table, aging schedule. You have to remember this aging schedule, and you have to remember this aging schedule, and also to learn requirements to other, and you have to learn other classification requirements. You have to remember how these have to be classified. Secured, considered good; unsecured, considered good; doubtful, these you have to learn. Yes, Swati, aging report is to be prepared by the company. It is part of the internal control system. Aging report is to be prepared by the company. That's a good question. It is prepared by the company. The auditor has to analyze it. He has to go through it. Yes, Harish Chandar, you are asking, is there any difference in trade receivables and debtors? No, there is no difference. There is no difference. These are two similar terms. Trade receivables, the amount which is receivable on account of trade is called trade receivables, or which we call as debtors. When sales take place, obviously debtors are generated, obviously debtors are created when credit sales take place. Yes, Devraj, yes, you are correct. Yes, Priyanka, you are asking when there are huge trade receivables and trade receivables which are insolvent, then obviously company will have to make provision against these huge trade receivables. It may have to write off the amount which is not recoverable. So the auditor would ask the company to make provision to write off. And if the company does not make such provisions, if the company doesn't write off, and if the company doesn't make those adjustments which are required by the auditor, then the auditor may have to modify his opinion. He would see what is impact on his opinion, whether the amount to be written off is huge, and what impact it is going to have profits on the company. Say, as you are saying, that trade receivables are huge. So obviously, if these are written off, so these may convert profit into losses. Obviously, so if the company is not willing to make those adjustments, the auditor may have to modify his opinion. Yes, Harish, you are saying why rights and obligation assertion is not in the table? Because it is flowing from the existence assertion, and there are no important significant things in relation to right and obligation assertions from point of view of students. Yes. Priyanka Pandey, the bad debts, what are the possible solutions? I have already answered your question, Priyanka. Yes, Parth Rana, you are right. Parth Rana, you are right. Company's intention is to inflate profit by showing more sales. Yes, yes, you are right. Yes, Mavish Sheikh, you are saying are checks considered as security? Which kind of checks? What you are talking about, Mavish? So if the debtor is making payment by way of check, obviously it has to make payment by way of checks. So it is not a security. Yes, Nivida, you can write it in your own words. You can write it in your own words. But the point is that requirements pertaining to Schedule 3 or wherever references are happening to Companies Act, these have to be stated as these are. So therefore, I would request you students to remember Schedule 3, to remember the requirements of Schedule 3. उसमें आपका अकाउंटेंसी का भी एक चैप्टर कवर हो रहा है और ये चैप्टर साथ में उसका एडेड बोनस है. अकाउंटेंसी में भी आपको हेल्प मिल रही है क्योंकि अकाउंट्स में तो आपका जगह जगह शेड्यूल 3 यूज होगा कंपनीज की बैलेंस शीट में, तो वहां तो आपको क्लैरिटी होगी साथ में ऑडिट में भी क्लैरिटी हो जाएगी. Yes, Suman ji. Yes, Suman Goel, you are right. It is given in chapter 11 as part of annexure in advanced accounting, and the earlier you learn it, the earlier you remember it, the better it is for you. इससे एक तो अकाउंटेंसी में आपकी बहुत सारी चीजें क्लियर होने वाली हैं और ऑडिटिंग में भी आपको इसका हर एक जगह फायदा मिलने वाला है. जहां भी कुछ नहीं समझ में आ रहा, शेड्यूल 3 तो याद है तो शेड्यूल 3 की रेफरेंस दे दें, आपको क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा. Yes, Nagaraju, you are saying debtors have to disclose before 180 days and after 180 days in notes to account. Now this requirement has slightly undergone change, Nagaraju. Now this was earlier requirement in schedule 3, earlier requirement when this was modified in probably a year or two back. So earlier requirement was there to disclose less than 6 months, more than 6 months. Now it is this way. राहुल, अभी तो आप चैप्टर समझ लें. Yes. Yes, Swati Krishna, you are right. Yes, Swati Krishna, you are right. Reinstatement in respect of trade receivable means checking exchange difference as on balance sheet date. Yes. Yes, you are right. So you will be learning about all these things in finer details in your chapter on AS11 in your accounts classes. So now we come to cash and cash equivalents. सो स्टूडेंट्स, कंपनीज की बैलेंस शीट में एक और इंपॉर्टेंट सिग्निफिकेंट आइटम है जिसको हम कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स के नाम से जानते हैं. सो स्टूडेंट्स, हम नॉर्मली आप लिखते हैं दूसरी जो नॉन कंपनी एंटिटीज हैं उनके केस में हम नॉर्मली लिखते हैं कैश एंड बैंक बैलेंसेस. वी नॉर्मली राइट एज कैश एंड बैंक बैलेंसेस. सो वी आर मोर फेमिलियर विद दिस टर्म cash and bank balances. However, in case of companies, we use the term cash and cash equivalents. Why? Because it is mandatory in Schedule 3. It is mandatory in the presentation requirements of Schedule 3. In the disclosure requirements of Schedule 3 to use this term. The format of balance sheet, the format of financial statements prescribed under Schedule 3 Division 1 uses this term cash and cash equivalents, meaning something which is cash or it is similar to cash, which can be converted into cash easily, like a bank balance. So if I am having some balance in bank, so it is liquid money, I can withdraw it anytime. So that is why it is grouped together under this head, cash and cash equivalents. Okay. So cash and cash equivalents in the form of cash in hand, stamps in hand, balances held with bank in current accounts, fixed deposits represent the most liquid assets of an enterprise because these are readily convertible into cash and subject to insignificant value risk. क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? कैश और कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स में कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में क्या क्या आता है? कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स में आएगा कैश इन हैंड, आपके बैंक अकाउंट्स, करंट अकाउंट्स, डिपॉजिट अकाउंट्स, और कोई आपके पास चेक इन हैंड है, कोई स्टैंप्स इन हैंड है. सो बिकॉज दीज ऑल थिंग्स आर लिक्विड, so these are grouped together under head cash and cash equivalents. So ये इसका स्टूडेंट्स ब्रॉड मीनिंग है. सो ऑब्वियसली कैश और कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स के लिए स्टूडेंट्स आपको कौन कौन सी असर्शन वेरीफाई करनी है? सो कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट क्या है? सबसे पहले ये स्टूडेंट्स, कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स क्या है? इट इज ए account balance. It is an account balance like trade receivables, like inventories. It is an account balance. It is an asset. So what are the assertions pertaining to cash and cash equivalents? So first assertion is relating to existence. Okay, and another is that all the cash equivalents and cash which were supposed to be recorded have been recorded in the financial statements. It means completeness. It means completeness, that all the items which should have fallen, which should have been recorded under this head, these have been recorded. So these are two important assertions relating to existence and completeness. And if say cash exists, then rights also exist in respect of that amount. So that is why rights are not discussed separately. Say if you are having some balance, if the company is having balance in the account, then it has a right over that money. So it flows from the existence. So it has not been discussed separately from a student's point of view. Okay. So obviously students एग्जिस्टेंस चेक करने के लिए कैश के लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ऑडिट प्रोसीजर क्या होगा? सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ऑडिट प्रोसीजर है वेरिफिकेशन ऑफ फिजिकल कैश. सो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ऑडिट प्रोसीजर है वेरिफिकेशन ऑफ फिजिकल कैश. सो कैश हैज टू बी वेरीफाइड फिजिकली बाय सरप्राइज as on closing date or as near to the closing date. Okay. So special care is necessary in regard to verification of cash balance unless they are checked by surprise. So surprise element is necessary in verification of cash balance. So cash should be checked not only on the last day of the year, but also checked again after some time, after close of the year, without giving notice of the auditor's visit, either to the entity or to his staff. So it maintains the surprise element. क्योंकि लास्ट दिन में तो पता ही है कंपनी के स्टाफ को कि ऑडिटर ने कैश बैलेंस वेरीफाई करना है. सो दे वुड टैली ईच पैसा, each rupee completely reconciled with their cash book, with their cash ledger. But if the auditor makes a surprise check after few days, then the staff of the company may be caught off guard. Okay. So cash includes, students, cash includes all type of cash, whether it is petty cash, whether it is cash lying with one accountant, or whether it is cash lying with two accountants, or whether cash lying at branch. Okay. So all these things, good audit procedures require that all these cash lying at different locations should be checked simultaneously. Okay. To the extent it is practicable. So if there are more than one cash balances, when there is a cashier, a petty cashier, a branch cashier, and in addition there are impressed balances with employees. So impressed balances, when the what do we mean by impressed balances, students? Impressed balances mean some small amount of cash which is there with the employees to incur some day-to-day petty expenditure. So like दो लोगों के पास कुछ से इम्प्रेस्ड कैश रहता है 50,000 लाख रुपया, जिससे कि वो कंपनी का जो छोटा मोटा खर्चा है वो करते हैं, और जो कि एक महीने बाद से या 15 दिन बाद उसको उनका कंप्लीट अकाउंट देना पड़ता है. सो दीज थिंग्स आर sort of impressed cash. So it is different from the cash which is lying with the cashier. Okay. And why this simultaneous verification is required? Because it is due to the reason that shortage in one balance is not made good by transfer of amount from others. कि एक हेड को आप दूसरे हेड के साथ एडजस्ट ना कर पाए, उसकी शॉर्टेज को एडजस्ट ना कर पाए, तो उसके लिए उसको उस पॉसिबिलिटी को रिमूव करने के लिए ये प्रोसीजर रिक्वायर्ड है. ओके. इट इज डिजायरेबल फॉर द कैशियर टू बी प्रेजेंट व्हाइल कैश इज बीइंग काउंटेड, and he should be made to sign the statement prepared containing details of the cash balance counted along with denomination of cash. So obviously, say you are verifying the cash, then obviously the custodian, the person in whose custody cash is, that is the cashier, obviously he needs to be present there. Okay, so he needs to be present there, and he should also sign on the statement regarding the physical verification of cash, which the auditor has done, so that it also acts as a sort of evidence. So it also acts as a sort of evidence to regarding that the cashier was present at the time of verification and he agreed with that verification. So it provides a sort of evidence. So if there is any rough cash book or details of daily balances are separately kept, then test entries, जनरल पॉइंट, कुछ एंट्रीज आपको टेस्ट चेक करनी है. If auditor finds any slip, chit or IOUs in respect of temporary advances paid to the employees, so normally IOUs are not, IOUs is IOU. IOU means I owe you some money. OUOWE. So I owe you some money. So these should not normally be included in cash because these are generally a small amount, say 500,000 given as advance, temporary advance to some staff. So some types of chits are normally there. Okay. So these should normally not fall there, and these should reflect in the advances. Next, the auditor should perform a cash sensitivity analysis by compiling a summary of total cash receipts and payment each month and trends to see. So पूरे साल का वो जितनी कैश रिसीट्स हैं और कैश पेमेंट्स हैं उसका एक एनालिसिस बना लेगा ऑडिटर की किस मंथ में से कैश पेमेंट ज्यादा हो रही हैं, और अगर कैश रिसीट्स आ रही हैं तो क्या वो बैंक में डिपॉजिट हो रही है, वेदर दीज आर बैंक्ड और नॉट. अगर कोई कंपनी कैश इन हैंड एबनॉर्मली हाई रख रही है तो देन ऑब्वियसली इट कैरीज रिस्क. ओके. So these are sort of again you can say analytical procedures, performing sensitivity analysis by compiling a summary of cash receipts and cash payment and analyzing the trends. So sort of analytical procedure. So again, in respect of banks, the auditor needs to obtain bank reconciliation statements for all bank accounts maintained by the entity as at the end of the reporting period, and additionally need to understand that client's process and periodicity of making BRS. So students, you have to understand that preparation of bank reconciliation statement is not responsibility of auditor. This is responsibility of the company. This is responsibility of the company management. It is a part of overall control process devised by the company to prepare to ensure that financial reporting is reliable. So the companies usually have a system where staff of the company is required to prepare bank reconciliation statements in periodic intervals, at periodic intervals, like say every fortnight or every month. So these bank reconciliation statements are prepared by the company staff but the auditor has a duty to verify whether these bank reconciliation statements prepared are proper, are accurate, and he may reperform. And suppose he may again perform a bank reconciliation statement as part of his audit procedures, but it is the main responsibility of the company, of the management. Yes, Swati, you are writing correctly. So he may reperform to obtain comfort. He may use reperformance as audit procedure to uh, to obtain assurance that bank reconciliation statements are being prepared properly. So again, general points relating to bank reconciliation statements. That all these bank reconciliation statements should be signed by the authorized personnel uh, who is responsible. Okay. And checking that all material reconciling items included under checks issued but presented for payment to the underlying bank book forming part of books of accounts. So checks issued but presented for payment to underlying. Checks which have been issued by the company uh, but presented for payment to the underlying bank. So these all type of different types of bank reconciliation items, these have to be seen by the auditor. Again, these are general things which you have already read. And direct confirmation procedures. So students, auditors also can obtain confirmation from banks regarding the balances which are maintained by the company in various banks, in various current accounts, in various deposit accounts, in cash credit accounts, these are loan accounts, and in EEFC accounts. EEFC accounts are exchange earners foreign currency accounts. So these exchange earner foreign currency accounts where say exporters are allowed to keep some money in foreign currency depending upon certain conditions as stipulated by the RBI. Okay. So the auditor can obtain the evidence by getting a direct confirmation from the banks regarding the balances to be maintained by the company in various accounts, in current accounts, in term deposit accounts. So all these things can be directly confirmed by the auditor from the bankers. So this is also very important. So students, you remember that in Satyam scam, what happened was that the company produced fake bank statements of some overseas banks. So some bank statements of the banks which were situated in foreign countries, which were overseas, these fake statements were produced to the auditor for verification, and the auditors relied upon those statements, and in this way the auditors were misled, and the auditors did not bother to probably confirm these balances directly from those banks. Yes. And Priyanka, you are saying what does escrow account means? escrow account, you can understand it in a very simple way that it is an account, it is a facility, Priyanka, where money is kept in such account, and it is to be paid to some other person on performance of something. Say there are two parties, and one party is not sure that whether second party is going to perform his part of obligation or not, and the other party is also not sure whether this party is going to make payment or not. So what they do is they open an escrow account, and the money is kept in that escrow account, and when another party pays, when another party performs his part of obligation, then the amount is paid from the escrow account. Yes. So the auditor should emphasize for confirmation of 100% of bank account balances. So जितने भी कंपनी के बैंक अकाउंट आ रहे हैं, से देयर आर 10 बैंक अकाउंट्स और 15 बैंक अकाउंट्स, सो ऑल द बैंक account balances should be reconciled. So whatever the balances are appearing in the banks as per bank statements, that should be reconciled with what is appearing in the company's books. Okay. And students, now we come to the valuation requirement in respect of cash and bank balances. So आप स्टूडेंट्स यू वुड बी आस्किंग कि कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स में वैल्यूएशन का क्या मतलब है? वो तो जितना कैश आ रहा है, जिस कॉस्ट पे रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, जो वैल्यू पे रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, वही तो आएगा. इसमें वैल्यूएशन का इश्यू कहां से आ गया? सो स्टूडेंट्स, इट मे हैपन दैट the company is having foreign currency. So obviously जब foreign currency है कंपनी के पास, so it has to be converted in Indian rupees, and accordingly it has to be shown in the balance. Okay. और डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट्स क्या है स्टूडेंट्स? अब शेड्यूल 3 की डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट्स. सो अगर आपको शेड्यूल 3 पहले से ही याद है, तो आपका काम पहले ही हो चुका है. ओके. सो शेड्यूल 3 के अकॉर्डिंग डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट्स कैश और कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स की, these are following. So cash and cash equivalents shall be classified as balances with banks, checks on hand, checks, drafts on hand, cash on hand, and others. So cash and cash equivalents have to be broken down into these things. That bank balances have to be disclosed separately, and cash balance, cash in hand, cash on hand is also to be disclosed separately apart from checks in hand. Okay. Earmarked balances. So with banks, say the company may be having some account with the bank which has been earmarked for special purpose. Now earmarked accounts are those accounts the balance in which can't be used for any other purpose except the purpose specified, like for paying unpaid dividend. So earmarked balances with banks have to be disclosed separately. This is again a schedule 3 requirement in the context of companies. Okay. So balances with banks to the extent held as margin money or security against the borrowings shall be disclosed separately. सो स्टूडेंट्स, अगर सपोज कई बार ऐसा होता है स्टूडेंट्स की कंपनी ने बैंक से कोई गारंटी इशू करवाई, तो बैंक कहता है कि आपको के बिहाफ पे मैंने गारंटी तो इशू कर दी है, आप कुछ मार्जिन मनी मेरे पास रखो, से इन द फॉर्म ऑफ फिक्स्ड डिपॉजिट। ओके, तो वो वो जिसको हम मार्जिन मनी कहते हैं या सिक्योरिटी अगेंस्ट बोरिंग कहते हैं, दैट हैज आल्सो टू बी डिस्क्लोज्ड सेपरेटली। Repatriation restrictions shall be stated. So if repatriation restrictions means that if some amount cannot be remitted, so repatriation is again a term normally used in context of a foreign currency. So if there are any repatriation restrictions, these have to be stated. And bank deposits with more than 12 months maturity shall be disclosed separately. And bank deposits which are having more than 12 months of maturity, these are to be disclosed separately as per requirements of Schedule 3. Yes. Yes, Prince, it is a practical chapter. It is a fully practical chapter. As Priyanka, you are stating cryptocurrency, you are stating if foreign currency is in hand with the company in locker, then how to access? Then obviously you would ask the company to show me the foreign currency. You cannot access the locker yourself, Priyanka. You would request the company to make an arrangement for physical verification of foreign currency. Yes, crypto balances, cryptocurrencies, we shall be reading about it in later stages in Schedule 3, Rahul Sharma. Yes, Gandhi, you are saying, Gandhi Nagbala Murugan, you are saying after complete digitalization, is BRS necessary? Yes, bank reconciliation statement is usually necessary in a variety of circumstances. Although you can say with digitalization, the number of entries which need reconciliation, these may have been reduced, but the requirement of a bank reconciliation statement is not totally dispensed away with. It still may be required. It still may be required. Although the number of reconciling, although the number of entries which required reconciliation, these now may have come down due to online banking and digitalization. Yes. So this is what we were reading about, students. Two different items of financial statements, that is trade receivables and cash equivalents. So we have learned audit procedures in respect of trade receivables and cash equivalents for testing various assertions relating to these account balances. And we have also understood requirements of Schedule 3 relating to trade receivables and those relating to cash and cash equivalents. So students, again, I am stressing that do remember the disclosure requirements of Schedule 3. So you remember complete Schedule 3. आपका पूरा काम हो जाएगा, उसके बाहर से कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं आने वाला है। और जैसे ही आप स्टूडेंट शेड्यूल 3 लर्न करेंगे, आपको शेड्यूल 3 की अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो जाएगी, वैसे ही स्टूडेंट्स आपकी ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स के बारे में भी लॉजिकल पॉइंट्स लिखने की अंडरस्टैंडिंग और बढ़ जाएगी। यस, Yes, Morgan, stamps in hand, you are saying why these are included as cash and cash equivalents? Because these are quite liquid. These are liquid. These are treated as equivalent to cash, and these are of petty amounts. Okay. Janki, you are writing. Yes, Janki, welcome. Janki ji, welcome. You are stating what is the difference in treatment of trade debtors and sundry debtors. Now, these are both, Janki ji, these are both accounting accounting terms which are used interchangeably. So, sundry means different assortment. So, when we use the term sundry debtors, it means debtors of different kinds, sundry debtors. So trade debtors is also similar term which we use, debtors arising out of trade. Okay. So there is no difference in treatment as such, Jankiji, about trade debtors and sundry debtors. But in balance sheets of non-company entities, you would find these terms trade debtors and sundry debtors being used often. Yes, yes, sundry debtors can be inclusive of trade debtors. Yes, it's true. Sundry debtors can be inclusive of trade debtors. Yes. Okay, guys. So this is all for today. So see you day after tomorrow. Thanks a lot.